not real. What happens? It's not. We're not there yet, even though Perek Gimel will reawaken this question. And then we saw how it's a process. In other words, there's going to be a process where Hashem is very angry at Am Yisrael, sees them as not his people even, right? Lo Ami, the 3 children that he has, Lo Ruchama, Israel. And at the end of the day, at the end of Perek Bet, we saw a beautiful prophecy of Hashem's love for Am Yisrael. And even though at first he said, if we read the last pasuk in Perek Bet, V'zaratia li ba'aretz, I will plant them in the land, which is a play on the first child whose name was Israel. V'richamti et lo ruchama, and I will have mercy on lo ruchama, who was the daughter who was born. V'amalti lelo ami, who was the 3rd child whose name was lo ami, ami ata. V'hu yomar Elohai. Now we went through, and he will say, I am your God. In other words, the reconnect that happens at first. There seemed to be a disconnect, and now a reconnect. And it sort of packages the first 2 chapters very nicely. Suddenly we have Perek Gimel. Perek Gimel is all of 5 psukim. Okay, and we're going to be dealing with it all of today. It's all of 5 psukim. And it's interesting in its way. And we're going to, Bezrat Hashem, see what Perek Gimel is a discussion of what good is Galut. And it is a fascinating discussion. We've talked about it a little bit before, why they have to go to Galut, but this chapter really gives us, according to the Parshanim, according to the commentaries, why we needed to go to Galut. And before before we go into what we got from Galut and why it was important and what was beneficial for Am Yisrael in Galut, it's important to understand what? To reawaken the love of the land.
Love the land, need for the land.
You're saying that the separation makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
There's gonna be more statements going on here, but that's one of them. But there's more. But before we even go into that, I want to first open up our minds into when we say Vayayim Shamua every day, right? We say Vayayim Shamua Tishmu, and we say if we're not going to listen to Hashem, what's going to happen?
Bad things.
The rain won't come down.
The rain won't come down. At the end of the day, we're going to leave the land. That's the end. We're going to lose the land. We're going to be banished. We're going to go to exile. It seems like it's just a punishment. A punishment. You did bad. You're punished. So Sefer Hosea, the whole Sefer Hosea, from the beginning until now and throughout, is always going to say there is a purpose to the punishments. Punishments are not stam. They're not just you did something bad, you have to pay for it. Every punishment has a movement towards Chazara B'tshuva, towards bringing Am Yisrael back.
It's constructive.
A constructive punishment. It's trying to call us back in some way. And I think it's an important understanding in our relationship to Hashem. Hashem loves us. And what he does for his reasons, and they're all on the basis of this love. It does not always feel that way in a personal life, in a national life. It does not always feel that way. I'm not going to stand here and say, yeah, it's barur and it's pashut. It's not pashut. And it's not easy. And 2,000 years of galut, we're not going to say, oh, it was all great. It was not great. And there are very difficult times, just as an individual. But when you understand this basic thing, and this is the lesson that Hosea is being taught. I love you. Am Yisrael, he's saying to Hosea. Hosea said, switch them with another nation. The whole first 3 chapters are saying that is an impossibility. I can't do that, Hashem says. I can't. Not because there's some theological problem, but because I love them. Like you won't be able to divorce your wife, the first wife that he has, and you'll see the second wife he has now again. Or the second woman, we don't even know if she's a wife, we'll see the different commentaries. Just like you can't do it, I also love Am Yisrael in that kind of love. It's that kind of love. You have to understand what kind of love I'm talking about. It's not a theoretical love. It's not a theological love. How are you doing? It is a deep, passionate love. It is a powerful love. It is love like a man to a woman, from a man to his wife. This is what I'm talking about. He says to Hosea, you have to understand what I mean when I say I love Am Yisrael. Feel it. Experience it. That's why he sends him to do these crazy things. You have to experience this, and then the hava amina, the possibility of just saying, okay, havirem b'uma acheret, bring me another nation. Okay, they did bad, let's go on. Find someone else. Any other nation, we'll figure someone else out. It's impossible. Hashem says it's impossible. You don't understand my relationship. That's why Hosea is one of the most beautiful prophets throughout the book, emphasizing this connection that cannot be severed. It can't be broken. Even though technically a man can divorce his wife, right? Hashem says that's not the situation I'm in. I'm in a situation where I love Am Yisrael, and I can't let this happen. And I'm not going to let them disappear or be separated from me. Okay, so that's just an understanding, I think, a depth and understanding why Hosea is really the basis of all tshuva. Tshuva, in the end of the day, comes from the recognition that there is a basic love connection between us and Hashem. And that's what pulls us back, even on an individual level. On an individual level, where does tshuva come from? It will come from fear, right? We could be afraid. We don't want to be punished. We don't want to go to Gehenna. We don't want to, who knows what. But I think, definitely in our generations, where the discussion isn't, we're not, as Rav Kook says many times, we're not in a generation of fear anymore. It's not the language. It doesn't motivate people, fear. What does motivate people is love. And to understand that this is our connection to Hashem, it's what brings out real deep tshuva. It's also on an individual level between people, right? When you're loved, you're empowered. You can do it, right? You just have to know that knowledge that someone loves you, and you have that. You could recalibrate your whole life. Someone who has that connection to you that you know that's unbreakable. It's the power of parents to children. It's the power of spouses, powers of man and wife. It's a nuclear power that allows you to do work in the world, knowing that you have a place, you have someone who unconditionally is with you. And I think that's the deeper level of tshuva that we come to also, that we want to come to. It gives us the power to do tshuva. It gives us the power to continue. And in the end of the day, it also brings us back to Hashem. All those are introductions. Yalla. It's just 5 psukim. Okay, so stay with me. Perek Gimel. And then we're going to go out and learn these. One second. These are all for you guys. I have one that I have somewhere else. So give these out. And take your pages. Reach the point of having too many pages in here again. What? No, it's not good, because then I can't find the page I want. I had worked very hard on one of these pages, and I better have it here. Otherwise, it will be very bad. There we go. Yofi. Beseder. Tov. So let's read the 5 psukim. Vayomer Adonai Elai od. Lech ehav isha ahuvat rea umenaafet. כי אהבת אדוני את בני ישראל, והם פונים אל אלוהים אחרים, ואוהבי אשישי ענבים. I'm going to read all 5 psukim because it's not that long, and then we'll go back. ויקרא לי 15 כסף, וחומר שעורים, ולתך שעורים. ואומר אליה, ימים רבים תשבי לי, לא תזני, ולא תהי לי איש, וגם אני אלייך. כי ימים רבים ישבו בני ישראל, אין מלך ואין שר, ואין זבח ואין מצבה, ואין אפוד וטרפים. אחר ישובו בני ישראל וביקשו את אדוני אלוהיהם ואת דוד מלכם, ופחדו אל אדוני ואל טובו באחרית הימים. Very short, very concise. Let's just see the pshat level one way of reading the pshat, a simple pshat. Hashem says to me again, od, in addition, lech ehav isha, go love a woman, ahuvat rea. Now, this one's a hard way to explain ahuvat rea. So that's a good way of reading it. Ahuvat rea. In other words, love her as you would love a good friend. Ahuvat rea. But then it should have been ahavat rea. Ahuvat rea. It could be that she is loved, right? Ahuvat. She is. Rea. Rea means a friend. Like re'ehu. Ish el re'ehu. Right? Say to your friend. That may be a little more famous. Thank you. What? Vereut, right? Vereut, the word reut. Which is fascinating. Rav Yoshua Shapiro has a nice ma'amar on why it's called Rea.
Like, where is that? Yeah.
Why is the Ra? You're pulling me into this, Yoshua. You're pulling me in here. All right, but remind me at the end of the class so that he gives a really nice understanding of what Ra. Why Ra is the basis of Re'ah, Re'ut, which is friendship. It is the shorish. It seems the shorish is Ra'ah. Good question. But this is a word, okay? I mean, this is a word. There's chaver. There are all kinds of words that could be used. Re'ah is one of them. I don't think I'm going to go into this specifically, that question, as why Re'ah, not chaver. But maybe Re'ah we'll go into later. Ahuvat Re'ah. Anyway, you love a woman who maybe is loved by a friend. In other words, you take this woman who's loved by a friend, or, as we said, love her greatly as a friend. We'll see that the Parshanim have different explanations. Umenafit, whatever it is, she is still an idolater. She is unfaithful. Right? Mina'afit, like lotinaf. What? Adulterer. Yeah. What did I say? Not idolatry. Yeah. Adulterer, even though when he says adultery, he means idolatry. That's this nut of Am Yisrael. But he's an adulteress, okay? So he says, go love her passionately, and she's going to be a menafit. She's going to be an adulterer, which is not the common practice.
Not a good shit.
Ke'avat Adonai et bnei Israel, just like I love Am Yisrael, vehem ponim Elohim acherim. Here's the idolatry for you, right? Vehem ponim, and they go to other gods. Ve'ohavei ashishei anavim, and they love cups of wine. That's what they do. They love cups of wine. Goblets. Better word. Goblets of wine. Okay? Ve'ohavei ashishei anavim.
Ashish is like a goblet or something?
That's what it is. It's not a common word. So that's what the Parshanim say, but I mean, I wouldn't know it offhand if you asked what ashish is. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the commandment. All right. Ve'ekreali, I buy her. Okay, ekrea, I buy her. Also an interesting word. B'chamisha sal kesef, I buy her for 15 pieces of silver. Ve'chomer seorim, ve'letech seorim. Chomer is 30 se'ah, and a letech is 15 se'ah. So we're talking about, he buys her with 15 kesef, whatever, mishka, maybe a weight or pieces of silver, and 30 se'ah, whatever midah we're talking about, a bunch of a kilo or liquid made of seorim, ve'letech seorim. So it's 30 and 15. Okay, se'ah, 30 se'ah, and letech is half of a chomer. So we're talking about 30 and 15, 45 measures of seorim. Okay, so we'll use kilo for our purposes. All right, a certain amount of seorim. Everyone has a field day on this. Okay,
what?
Where the Parshanim have a field day. What does the 15 mean? And 15 million is silver and seorim. Why dafka that? Why that's what he buys her for? What is the chid? What's the keta? Okay, we'll see some of those perushim as we go. All right, so let's continue in our storyline. So again, Hashem told him to go love this woman, and he buys her. And I say to her, Yamim rabim teshvili, many days you shall sit here, li, to me, lo tizni, don't be adulterous, Velo tihi leish, and you won't have relations with any man. Vegam ani elaich. And there's different perushim here, but I also won't. In other words, you have to be unique, special for me, but we're not having relations, and you're not having relations with anyone else, and I'm also not having relations with anyone. In other words, it's a stalemate. Okay, we're for each other, but no one's doing anything. No marital relations going on.
So basically doing Kiddushin and then leaving her alone.
Possibly Kiddushin. You say the Echrea is Kiddushin. That's one of the opinions. We'll see that not every opinion says.
That makes sense, because when you do Kiddushin, she becomes a sort of everyone, including yourself.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and some of the Perushim will say that. Okay, well, let's hold on, because there's other Perushim here. Right. But this is a situation, again, that this woman, who after he took her, he tells her, just you have to stop. You have to stop sleeping around, and you're not also going to be with me. Now, what does that mean? Ki yamim rebim yeshvu bnei Yisrael, for many, many days, bnei Yisrael are going to sit without a king, without a sar, without a nobleman.
Well.
Hold on. Ve'en zevach, ve'en matzeva. So zevach is usually some kind of korban or possibly a big meal. Ve'en matzeva, which is a monument, but it's also you bring korbanot on. That you're asur to bring korbanot on. It's like a pillar. It's like a sort of like a bama. It's one big stone. Is the difference between a bama is a couple stones. The matzeva is one big stone. Ve'en efod u'trafim. Trafim. Where do we see trafim? Rachel has the trafim. What are trafim? Quick pshat shiur in trafim. Rachel took the trafim that her father says. Why did he take them? Why?
So he wouldn't use them.
So he wouldn't. What? Well, she suddenly wants him to become a tzaddik. Pshat. Why did she take the trafim? What are trafim in the world?
Are they the ones that get to see the future
Good.
or something? If you put a stone behind the skull.
Very good. Wow. The trafim are ephod u'trafim. The trafim are the wrong way to know the future, while ephod is the right way to know the future. The trafim, in other words, why did she take these things specifically? Because they would tell him where to go. They would tell him how to find her. Pshat level, okay? Farshanim say it there. She took his magic mirror, right? That she took the thing, but would tell him where to find them. They're running away. So what's the thing to take? You take the keys to the car. You take what won't allow him to follow you. That's
you flatten the bike.
Right. So this is, and that's what she does. She takes the trafim. That's what she wants to take away from him, so that he can't follow. That's on the side, but it will be connected to what we're saying. Okay, so
is the right way to look at the future?
One second, we'll get to it when we go into this pasuk. Everything that. Okay, I'm reading now just the pshat, sort of to understand what's going on here. Again, not that it helps that much because it's still weird, but the translation of this lady sitting and waiting is Am Yisrael sitting without a king and without a nobleman, without sacrifices, and without any way to communicate with God. We'll use that ephod u'trafim. You're going to be, Hashem says, Am Yisrael, you're going to be out there with no leadership and no state and no sacrifices and no connection to God. This is one of the amazing definitions of exile, of galut. You're going to be out there with no connection to Hashem for a long time. Yamim rabim tishvili. 2,000 years is a long time? Mm-hmm. Long time.
It's comforting in a way. Tishvili, you're going to say it.
For sure. And not only that, the end is even better. Achal yashuvu b'nei Yisrael. At the end, they will return. Ubikshu et Adonai Elohim. And they will search for Hashem, their God. Vet David Malkam. And David, their king. Upachadu el Adonai vel tuvo ba'acharit hayamim. Which Chazal will translate into searching for Beit HaMikdash, and we will relate to that as we go on. They will be pachadu means they'll worry about, not they'll be afraid of. They'll worry about Hashem and His tuvo. They'll be searching for it. They'll want it. It's really they're angst about it. How does it translate, Josh? How they found translate to ufachadu?
And fearing will they hasten to the Lord.
Tremble I have.
Fearing they will hasten to the pachadu el Hashem, right? Pachadu el Hashem, no pachadu me Hashem. They won't be afraid of Hashem. They will pachadu el Hashem, to Hashem.
Like the fear of uncertainty.
So that was, but anticipation and certainty. We really, really want something very much. So I'm fearful for it to happen. I want it to happen. Be'acharit hayamin. Acharit hayamin is a whole discussion what that means. But in our purposes, it's in the future. That's it. This is all Perek Gimel. And it's very short, and it's really the end. It's sort of like I wrote here, Nispach al Galut. It's like a addition to the first two chapters, very short. The next chapter will be the first time Hosea is going to talk to Am Yisrael, which hasn't happened until now. Okay, until now is all Hashem talking to Hosea, which is part of why Chazal said this whole thing is to teach Hosea a lesson. Before he can go out and talk to the people, Hosea has to be convinced that his mindset, it was so wrong, that his mindset, they say, okay, so switch them. That cannot be the mindset of a prophet. You can't work for me, Hashem says, if you think this way. I'm going to have to not only teach you, I'm going to have to train you, right? I'm going to have to send you through a whole experiential lesson of what my connection with Am Yisrael is, so that you will be able to even turn to them and speak to them from the right perspective. Because if I speak to someone, and you just think about in a human connection, if you speak to someone from the wrong perspective, you're usually going to say the wrong thing. Okay, meaning the narrower my view is, the less focused I am, the less it's called Mochin de Gadlut. I love the musag in Kabbalah and Chassidut. What? So Mochin de Gadlut, the best explanation I ever heard for Mochin de Gadlut is when all your dreams and ideals are present right now. In other words, I'm speaking to you guys, and I have all the greatest things I want to happen in my mind right now as I'm talking to you. What does that mean? That means that if Shael gets me upset right now, Shael, right? Then I'll relate with the knowledge that his soul is a beautiful soul. Chelek Eloha mimal mamash. Here we are in Yerushalayim learning Torah. I'll be relating in such a different way than if I'm thinking I'm hungry and tired and just shut up already, be quiet, they're bothering me, right? Both reactions are possible. It just depends how wide my consciousness is at the moment. How how understanding I am of the real event that's happening here. Both are, I'm hungry and tired is an event that's happening here. I see the greatness of God being apparent right here is also happening here right now. Where are you in that retzef? So Hosea needs to be positioned in the right place, Hashem says. Before you go off to the people, we have to position you in the right understanding of what's going on here. Don't go and say to the people, he's about to critique the people horribly, okay? He's a Navi. You know, Naviim aren't very gentle in their critique of the people. He's going to bash them. But who bashes, and what are you thinking when you're bashing? Are you just angry at them for not doing what's right? Or are you loving them like Hashem loves them? And that's where your critique is coming from. It could be the exact same words, but they're so different.
According to what
It's
you
not
said,
about what you say, it's how you say it.
No, namash not. It's who says it. It's who you are who's saying it. That's what I would say. It's not what you say, it's who is saying it. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Where you are when you say it.
what you said is it's crazy how it connected. It's exactly what Balaturim says in this parasha about Veheye Bracha to Abraham. Balaturim says that Veheye, there's 5 places in the Mikra, in the Tanakh, that there's Veheye, and the other places are Veheye Nachon, Veheye Tamim. So this implies that if you will be whole, that if you will be whole, hearted and prepared to do my will, then you shall be a blessing. So it's like when that's like the idea of Abraham. When you're like really whole in the condition, then you will be a blessing. So
only then you will be a blessing. Can you be a blessing?
And to be prepared, even to accept such a to be a vessel.
Can be a tzinor, right? A pipeline for the blessing of Hashem, right? So this is all Hosea has to go through, so that the next chapter we're going to start the critique. But we have to remember, okay, Hosea is now in a completely different place. And he's also, as we've said many times, he's the first prophet, be'etzem, that in this kind of prophecy. He's, again, these are things we've dealt with in the past. He's the opening of all prophecy. He's the first of the prophets that we say when we say the prophets. In other words, we have Eliyahu, we have Natan, we have Moshe, we have lots of prophets in the past. But no, not yet.
He's biased.
No, but the prophets that come, Yirmiyahu, Yeshayahu, Yechezkel, Treasar, they're all after Hosea. Hosea is number one. He's the first one who comes out. He's the first prophet. In that sense, in this kind of sense of coming out with them. And he's going to be talking about many, many galuyot. Yes, right. Here it seems that it's a reference to the further galuyot.
Globally is the...
No, the question is, this is Bayit Rishon. This is the middle of Bayit Rishon. Hasn't even Yisrael haven't been gone to the galut yet. He's going to be talking to Yisrael. He's talking to Mamlechot Yisrael. We're not Churban Beit HaMikdash is 150 years in the future. So correct that he's saying yes, but yes, that's what prophets do. They speak. They speak for generations, right? So this one you'll see, as most of the commentaries are going to read it as the long run. The Yamim Rabim isn't 70 years of Galut Bavel. This is Yamim Rabim. Acharit Yamim. Yeah. So there are verses here that you get the feeling of, whoa, we're talking a long time. So all that was pshat, okay? This is the storyline. Now, all the Parshanim have a great time trying to explain what's going on here exactly in the depth of what's happening here, pshat and depth. Ready for a masa into Parshanut, okay? We're going to follow the Parshanim here. We opened up a little more. It's not just Rashi, Radak, Malbim as we usually do. The Al-Shich's is going to join us here. We'll have the Targum, we'll have the Ibn Ezra, we'll have Metzudat David. Other Perushim will join us in our adventure today. Beseda. I just want to say, before we even begin this, there's a priori machloket if this is a new wife or it's the same wife as before. In other words, are there two women going on here? He had a wife in chapter 1, and then another wife in chapter 3. In other words, there are two women going on here. There's a machloket if it's the same woman and he's just re-relating to her, or a different woman. At the moment, we're not going to say that matters to us too much for our purposes. Okay, but just know it's a machloket. So let's start off with Rashi. Milanu Kirashi.
Can I ask why it would make a difference?
It would be a different story, and why we would need a second stage. Maybe as we learn this, we'll see possibly why it would come up. Okay, stay focused on the question. We'll see if it comes up. So Rashi says, "Ahuvat rea, chaviva al ba'ala, ve'ahuva lo." Right, ahuvat rea means she's very loved by her husband. Chaviva ve'ahuva lo, liked and loved. V'mena'efet tachtav, and she is adulterous under him. Ka'avat hakadosh baruch hu Yisrael ve'hem zonim tachtav elohim acherim. Rashi gives us what Ashishei Navi means, right? Perush Menachem is one of the Leshoni people before Rashi, in the generations before Rashi, the Geonic period, who dealt with words, a lot of words. So there's Menachem and there's Dunash. There's different great Dekanim. I don't know how you would say it. Grammarians. There you go. Good word. Grammarians. Okay. So he says Gviei Yain Oavim Lishtaker Be'enam, and then he says Ve'enam Oskim BaTorah. And this is important. This is Rashi's addition. He says they are busy drinking themselves and they're not learning Torah. So Rashi immediately puts, we'll see the others develop this theme, but Rashi already puts this in. The problem with this wife, in this sense, she's off being adulterous, and she's drinking wine. Now we would say, you know what? She's committing adultery. The fact that she's drinking wine, that's not so bad. I mean, obviously they're connected, and one could say that one leads to the other, and it's really one critique. In other words, she's drinking wine and being adulterous, and she's out there, partying every night. But what Rashi is saying is this adultery is a method. They leave the Torah, and that leads to all kinds of things. Okay? The going to the other idols is a result of this ashishi of the drinking, but the drinking means what the metaphorical drinking is leaving the Torah. The Radak's going to develop it a little more. Okay? So Radak begins off again with this statement. Ata hosif b'mashal ze be'avat ha'el yitbarach et Yisrael mikedem. He's in addition to the previous chapters, the Radak is saying, this chapter continues the mashal and says, Ke'adam ohev isha chaviva alav, shi ava gdola, ki lo kol isha yohav adam b'shaveh. If you have more than one wife, as they did in the past, then not every wife is a favorite wife, as unfortunately we see quite a few times in the Torah in different contexts. K'mo shenemar b'Yakov, ve'ahav Yaakov et Rachel. ואמר דוד, מאהבת נשים, והם שתי נשיו שהיו חביבות עליו. Right? David says, I loved Yonatan יותר מאהבת נשים. So they're like different women and different loves. ועם כל זה, פנו אל אלוהים אחרים. Even though Hashem loves them more than anyone else. He loves Am Yisrael more than any other of his wives or the other nations. They still don't go with him. And now look what he says about אוהבי השישי הנביאים. ותחת אשר היה להם לאהוב תורת Hashem umitzvotav, instead of what they should have been doing, of love the Torah and the mitzvot, ulehegot be'ahavata tamid, and to be learning its love all the time, to be immersed in its love all the time. Ki hi hamalamedet derech hatova va'yishara. This is what teaches the good and the proper path. Parku me'alem ol Torah. They threw off the yoke of Torah. Ve'avu tanugei ha'olam. And they went and loved the worldly pleasures. Ha'olam v'ta'avatam, and their taivas. You can't translate taivas. You can't translate their taivas. Shtiyat hayayin kol shegeh bo lo yichkam, like the drinking of wine, and anyone who does that won't be smart. V'amar hanavi aleim. And there are other psukim we bring from other neviim who also go against them for drinking wine, who also critique them for drinking wine. But what the Radak and Rashi are doing here, what they're really saying, is that Am Yisrael has culturally left Hashem. In other words, they have been enchanted by the options of sinking into the world of pleasure. What stands mul, the love of Hashem, which they play out, both Rashi and the Radak play out as loving Torah and doing the mitzvot, that's the love of Hashem. That would be a proper to what's the word, give back to Hashem, to reciprocate to Hashem. They are off living the fun life, being sucked into the world of entertainment and excitement. Sports, NFL, movies. MLB. No, I didn't say that. Movies.
Video games. Yeah.
Movies, money, pleasure, sexual enjoyment. The world is exciting. It's exciting out there. It's an exciting place. So they say. And Am Yisrael are leaving what they should be following, this love for Hashem, for the love of others that is led by or moved by this excitement. In other words, we dealt this from the beginning of Yoshua also, if you guys remember with Yericho, it's like, what is the culture? What's the opposite culture of Am Yisrael when they come in? And why would they be so taken by the nations when they come into Eretz Yisrael? Like, what's so powerful in idolatry? What's so powerful? What are we so scared of? What's Hashem so scared of? And this was one of the main things, this very, very physical, powerful lust that is out there in the world, that Am Yisrael are following and accepting upon themselves, as opposed to their connection to Hashem.
You see also in Baal Peor.
Peor is the lowest of the low in that, but yes, Machon Meir in the desert, which leads to immodesty and avodah zarah. Everything goes straight down there. Well, that's Pinchas and Zimri. That's the fixing of that situation. But the statement here again, when we read what's the ni'uf? What is the ni'uf that we're doing here? What is the it's metaphoric, the ni'uf. Okay, it's a statement about Am Yisrael. The ni'uf here that the Hosea is saying here is the going after other nations or other cultures that just pull you for the pleasure aspect of it. This isn't a theological problem per se. It's not they sat and they learned Chokhmah Yevanit and they said, they're right. We're talking about a cultural phenomena of being drawn in to a culture that is really antithetical to Yadut.
Antithetical?
We always go back and forth on that word. Anyone can say antithetical or antithetical, whatever you want, but we all understand what it means. That's the challenge here, and that's what Hashem says. This is what you're doing to me, Am Yisrael. You're leaving me for this, this is the time. This is the end of Malchut Israel, where they're being affected by the nations around them, Achav and others, Izebel, who brought in Baal, and the other Bemet. We talked about it many times. Baal and Asherah. The Baal was avodah of sexuality. That was the avodah. Their avodah. Their avodah zarah of the Baal had a lot to do with the sexual cycle, the land and the rain and the earth, sky. This is where Am Yisrael is, and Hashem this has to end. This has to end. But how are we going to end this? So before we go on to how we're going to end this, let's just get a couple more perushim here on exactly what is the yachas here between Hashem and Am Yisrael. This is important also to understand at this point, okay? Because at this point, when Hashem says to go take this woman who is so problematic, and someone here said that it's you said it's kiddushin. Mm-hmm. The Al-Shich and the Malbim don't say it's kiddushin. Look what they say here. The Al-Shich says like this: Omnam yitachen ki lo haya mar'eh He said this could have been actual, as right. There's the previous discussion if it is all a mashal or it actually happened. Aval gam lo po'al nisui mamash. He didn't really marry her. Rak shi chadalo. He said, sort of like kiddushin. He said, "You're going to be for me. You're going to be my wife." V'tzivala sheteshev miyuchedet lo. V'lo tizne od v'lo tinaseh le'acher. She shouldn't have adultery and she shouldn't marry anyone else. V'shegam hu yaseh ken. שאחרת לו, ייקח לו עליה בשום אופן. והוא פשטו של מקרא. He says the pshat of the mikra is he buys her, but he doesn't mekadesh her. He just puts her in like this weird situation. He doesn't even say mekadesh. He says meyached lo, which is more like a pilegesh in a sense. In other words, to say you are for me, I am for you. We can't either of us have anyone else, but we're not married. We're not married. It's a really weird situation, and it doesn't exist in Yadut so much in our net, but it's like a pilegesh. A pilegesh is a man who marries a woman without kiddush, without a ketubah. Okay, it's what is that? We don't know. It's like a weird situation, but it's not znut because they live together and they're together. Mamash, it's not znut. They're not going off with other people. It's a weird situation. That's sort of the situation that the Baal Shich puts it. He says, he's not going to bring, like Ezra's problem in the past, that Hosea is really going to marry this kind of woman. He's really going to have relations with this woman. No. He doesn't have relations with her. He just has her there. And the Malbim is going to develop this idea and then also explain what it means, what this means.
Different from, say, buying her as like a slave.
It's not so different. Listen to the Malbim. Okay? The Malbim is going to develop that idea, what you just said now. אחר המשל הראשון, שהמשיל את ישראל כשת איש, הזונה מתחת בעלה. Previous chapter, Am Yisrael was like an isha zona, who's married and commits adultery. וציווה לנביא שיקח גם כן אישה בדרך נישואים, ושהיא זונה מתחת אישה. He told him to marry a prostitute. Now, בא אל נביא ציווי אחר. Now he comes with a different commandment. לך אהוב אישה אהובת רע ומנאפת. שהוא אהב אישה בדרך אהבה, לא בדרך כיחה ונישואים. כאישה הראשונה שלקח בדרך נישואים. No, not marrying this one. He's not marrying her. ושלא תהיה אשת איש הזונה מתחת בעלה, רק תהיה פנויה. She is a פנויה. She's single. She's open, right? It means she's not married to you. You're not marrying this one. שאין לה בעל בדרך נישואים. רק יש לה רע, שהיא אהובה ממנו ביותר. She just really, really likes him. והיא מנאפת בעד אתנן גם עם אנשים אחרים חוץ מהרע. But she commits adultery. So in other words, it's like a girlfriend. The girlfriend min Torah minayin, right? Whoever has a girlfriend, here's the first girlfriend in Tanakh. He has a girlfriend. The girlfriend, mamash kacha, no kiddushin, no nisuim, not even attempting to be nisuim. She's going to be ahuvat rea. Friend. A friend. Girlfriend, boyfriend.
Kind of like sister relationship, just without family.
No. They love each other. Not sister relationship. They love each other as a man to a woman. No benefits. They just love each other. But no, they're not connected. Nothing's happening there. But she's still going off and committing adultery. But she still loves him and he still loves her, which is a really weird situation. Okay? And this is what he's saying.
He's worshiping idols?
What?
No. Oh, the other one?
והגם שלא תיקרא בשם זונה. She's not a זונה. כי אין לה בעל.
Right.
She's not a זונה because she's not a בעל. She's פנויה. בכל זאת היא בוגדת. She's still unfaithful. It's like someone who has a girlfriend and she's unfaithful to him. Is she unfaithful to a boyfriend? There's no commitment. There's been no commitment. There's been no legal documents signed or no transaction made. But she's unfaithful בכל זאת. There's still something unfaithful happening here. וזה יהיה המשל אחר להמשיל בו את עניין הדת ישראל אחר גלותם. And here the Malvim opens this up. And he says, this is talking about Am Yisrael. Beforehand, we're talking about Am Yisrael now. Hosea is talking to Am Yisrael in his time, before the Galut. This is in the Galut. What is the connection between Hashem and Am Yisrael in the Galut? It's a really interesting question. That comes up later in Yechezkel. We dealt with it when we dealt with Ezra and Nehemiah, in the time between the times. What's Hashem's relationship with us in Galut? It's the same as when we were in Eretz Yisrael. Am Yisrael doesn't think that at all. They think they're being divorced. That's what they say. They say, we're done. And then Hashem says, where's the get? What are you talking about? It's not done.
All the stars.
But here's a new relationship, a new paradigm that Hosea is trying to portray our kesher with Hashem in Galut. It's like a girlfriend, a boyfriend and a girlfriend who really love each other. But she can't help herself. And she seems to be going off in Galut. What do we get from this? Let's go on. Why is this an interesting metaphor? שאז שלחם השם מעל פניו, וביטל את האירוסים הקודמים, ונעשית כפנויה. This is an amazing statement, right? In the previous chapter, ורסתיך לי לעולם, ורסתיך לי בחסד ובאמת, ואמונה, the last psukim, right, not long ago, we said this in the previous chapter. I'm going to betroth you. But that's going to be in the future, apparently, because right now, in the Matzav of the Galut that he's referencing here, Hosea, she's it's not. We're not. We just have like a love connection that's not mimumash. It's not doesn't happen. It's not actualized. It's not binding per se. And she's pnuya. She can go off. This is like in Galut. Hashem says we have to start from the beginning. Sort of like Shir Hashirim. We have to go back to the beginning of Shir Hashirim. When that's Shir Hashirim. Where we go back, where all of Shir Hashirim is talking about this love that they have before they get married. Right at the end of Shir Hashirim, it seems that there's an end of that. They finally get married. But the beginning of Shir Hashirim and most of Shir Hashirim is this love relationship towards marriage. Here, it's a love relationship that's much more rocky than Shir Hashirim. Here, the beloved, it doesn't seem to be able to be 100% loyal to her boyfriend. והיא אחר שאמר לא עמי אתה, ומאז היא מנאפת, לא זונה, She's not a zonah because she's not married. Ki en la baal kavua, the Malbim says again. ובכל זאת היא אהבת רע. שגם שאין השם אוהב אותה כאהבת בעל, הוא אוהב אותה כאהבת רע. I find it's a beautiful sentence. We have to put that up. We don't have to anymore because we may be already coming out of this stage. But Galut, Hashem doesn't love us like a wife, but He loves us like a girlfriend. Which may go back into sentence. What does loving like a girlfriend mean? Loving like a girlfriend means I'm with you, but not 100%. Right? Why can't you commit? Why don't people commit? Why don't they get married? People live together for a long time and they don't get married, and then what happens when they get married? When they commit? Very often they break up. Very often. Not always, but very often they break up. The commitment is a serious move here. Hashem says in exile, in Galut, we're sort of not committed to one another. There's like an openness here. I've removed the pressures of marriage. This is what Hashem is saying. This is Galut. I've removed the pressure you're out there. You're out there in the world. You're not in my land anymore. You don't have the strong rules that happen here. Right in Eretz Yisrael, you make a mistake, boom, you're gone. Boom, you get punished. Boom. It's scary in Eretz Yisrael. The Ramban has a great sentence where he defines how Eretz Yisrael, that Hashem says that His eyes are in Eretz Yisrael all the time. It's nice, and it could be intimidating. Yeah, He's always, right. If I always looking at you, someone would always be looking at you. Right, someone think about anywhere you go to your room, you go wherever you go, someone's looking at you, watching you. It's a little overwhelming. So Hashem says, we're going in the Galut now. Now there's you're open, you're free. There He's going to demand from her in the next psukim. He's going to demand her to stay loyal. Stay loyal, right? That's what He's going to say to her afterwards. Or Yamim Rabim, don't lo liot ish. Let's stay loyal there in Galut. And I'll just say, I'll makdim the mu'achar, I'll bring one earlier than what we'll see later, is one of the most amazing things that happens to Am Yisrael, is that Avodah Zarah disappears. It disappears from our lives. In Beit Sheni already. But this after we go into exile, somehow we stop being idolatrous. Right? Beit Sheni is nechrav for sinat chinam. And Am Yisrael in Galut, for all the years we've been in Galut as a nation, not that individuals didn't become Christian or didn't do whatever, it happened to individuals, but as a nation, Am Yisrael has amazingly stayed pretty loyal, b'sach hakol, to Hashem.
Not only that they stopped worshipping idols, they were missing Hashem. They weren't missing the idol worship.
Right. Their missing wasn't for that; it was for Hashem. Okay, and that's we'll come. That's the last pasuk, right? When they'll be kshu at Hashem Elokechem David Malkam. That will be like the end point. But that's part of what's happening. But this, I think, it's just a beautiful thing. What is Galut? Galut is girlfriend, boyfriend. What is Eretz Yisrael? Marriage. That's our connection with Hashem. In other words, where is it? Where would you want to be? Marriage or girlfriend, boyfriend? Now, I'm raising this because, as we know, in the situation we're in now, this isn't Tamulat B'chirot, but as we are right now, this is a huge issue in the world. It's a huge issue. Is family an issue? Who says you have to get married? We have politicians, heads of important, right? Not married stuff. Heads of important parties saying marriage is
Overrated.
No, it's not
worse than overrated. It's mamash lo shayach. Okay.
Well, probably also to touch on this, but as it concerns the religious world, and particularly those Masorti and Dati-like streams venturing off, I think it would be important, and surely this is occurring in the Haredi world, but more for rabbis to stress on people not to have, say, some make it work, but from what I've observed anecdotally, very long durations of dating tend to lead towards fornication, premaritally, etc. Just because it's like, well, and many people have a rationale for this. Well, I'm not ready yet. I want to make some more money. I got to do this. as you say, but I have observed this, particularly among some olim, dati-like kind of stream. But yeah, I think one way maybe to fault this is to one focus on the negatives of what you would lose out for violating this world to come, but also to make it. Look, I'm no expert, and there's people more qualified to this, but is it prudent to, you know, do Jews need to date 1, 2, 3 years or something of this sort, or no? I don't know. I feel though, just from what I've noticed.
Well, I think it's a
I've heard an average
wait. What's that?
date,
It's
like an average date time is like 3 to 4 months.
In certain
right. So there are all kinds of there's all kinds of things.
If you're the smart,
The-
like if
the-
you're the smart on a personal basis, or something, you don't even date. You just get married to the person who they decide to pick for you.
So there's all. This is opening up a whole different aspect, which is it's an important one. It's a really important one, especially for people who are thinking of getting married. It's mamash chashuv what you're saying. I want to say there's a fear of commitment in the world at large. All of us, we all have part of this. I think, at least I do, that there's like, if I commit, then it's like taking away myself, my possibilities. We deal with possibilities more than reality. In other words, what could happen? I don't want to stop anything that could possibly happen. I'm always thinking not here in what I need per se, or what's even good for me, but what could be good for me, or what I might want in the future, or what I might. To be limited, even in a word, when we say limited, is almost a negative word. Limited. Boundaries. They're all things that we're like, like I think in the growing in the Western world, we're like they've become almost bad words, almost words that are completely negative. While when we talk about gvura in Yahadut, we see it as a huge, important part of our life. That there's the ability to stop and put limits and to be committed. Mechuvan, right? Mechuvan to be, but also to committed. I mean to Hashem. We're committed. We're committed to Hashem. To have this free. Sorry, guys. To have this free. It's probably some politician who really wanted to talk to me personally. He's calling me up. They do that all the time. They call me.
Do you actually have?
I have, because the whole country has them. The recordings they send to everyone. They say.
You vote, you get a
Oh.
Yeah, I was seriously joking. So I know they are calling, but it's right. But this idea of commitment is one that people are very, very worried about, and it is. I'll give it a stack, David. I think it's a line that hits marriage and religion, and it's one line in a sense. In other words, can you be committed to God? Then you may be able also to be committed to someone, and the other way around. If you're committed to someone, you can be committed to God. The openness, and this is the mashal. This is the mashal. That's why it's used here as the mashal. This is the metaphor of straying from God, is straying from a marriage relationship or a love relationship. That is, it's a power in the soul. It's a power in our being, in our personality, to be committed to something, to be able to say, I'm doing this and I'm going to do it. You're going to be married to someone, B'ezrat Hashem, each and every one of you. You're going to be married for the rest of your lives. Okay? It's a long time. It's forever. There's no way out of it. It's forever. It really is. It's something that it's like it's either beautiful or it scares you out of your wits, right? That when you say that statement, but it is.
That's an interesting question.
Which one? It wasn't a question.
Both you and your wife come back with Tichat Metim. Is she still your wife, or can you remarry someone else?
I have no idea.
Well, how would you want to marry someone else?
I never thought of it, but I have no idea. And then start throwing in Gilgulim and everything becomes happy. So, all right. But anyway, let's come back here. The Yachas in the Galut is this unique, according to the Malbim, girlfriend-boyfriend relationship that is not committed. And that means Hashem's not so committed to us. And we're not as committed to Him. And this is what has to be. This is what's fascinating about it. This is what has to be. This is what's going to happen in exile. It allows something else to happen. Apparently, the marriage was not good. That's in Ba'aretz. It wasn't good. You weren't staying loyal. This ahavat rea that we start off starts off sketchy. Also, we're going to have to really, really prove that we're serious. That's really what we got. We have to prove that we're serious. I think that happens in relationships too, right? Prove to me that you're serious. One says to the other, Are we really in this? Are we really in this? Usually the woman says to the man, Are you really in this? And he goes, I don't know. What? I really have to do it. How long do I have? A week, a month, 2 months? You get pressured, right? But this situation is the situation of Galut. Again, we'll develop it as we go. Yeah.
If under the Malbim's idea that once we're in Galut, it's more hands off, fair? As opposed to Rashi's, which says it's the same. So what is would the Malbim's logic be that if you fail when you're more hands-on in Eretz Yisrael, where the eyes are on you, how are you going to succeed if you have no eyes on you?
Great question. That's
the Rashi logic is...
The Al-Sheikh is going to ask this mamash that question. When he translates it, Al-Sheikh later is going to say, how in the world can we expect them in Galut to come back? Why would that work? And mamash, what do you say? Okay, but we'll see it probably next time. What? What say? How is that connected? It might be. What? What?
The Yonah didn't find rest, so I came back.
Okay, that's fair. In other words, when you don't find the rest in the place, you let him go.
Very deep.
No, it's good. You let the Yonah go, and it comes back. So let's finish up.
For itself, you have to...
Let's finish up the Malbim here to go on. My plan was to finish this whole thing today, so it shows how much I know. Here, so he says, so what does this mean in Galut? His love to her isn't in Farhesia, isn't in the open, exposed in the open. There's still, he's tracking her. He's watching her, watching over her. In בצורה נסתרת. והם זונים מאחריו. וזה שאמר כי אהבת השם את בני ישראל. שהנמשל של אהובת רע, the nimshal, we said there's no word for nimshal. The real meaning of the parable, של אהובת רע, הוא אהבת השם את בני ישראל בגלותם, שאינו בעל וארוש שלהם. He says it again, he's not married. רק כאהבת רע את פילגשו, he used the word פילגש here, שבאופן זה ייקח הושע אותה להיות רע שלו ולא שתהיה אשתו. והנמשל שמנאפת, what's מנאפת? היא מה שהם פונים אל אלוהים אחרים. That they're still going to other gods. שפונים מן השם הרע שלהם לעבוד עבודה זרה, והם אוהבי השישי ענבים, שאינם עוד במדרגה קודמת שהיה הבעל נותן לה מזונותיה, והיא הלכה אחרי המאהבים בחשיכה שהם נותנים לה מזונות. The previous wife would follow in the previous chapters. The wife would go after her husbands who would give her food and give her money, and then she loved them for that. כי עתה בגלות אין לה מזונות קבועים, לא מן הרע שאינו בעלה ולא מן המאהבים. רק היא דומה כקדשה פחותה שתזנה בעבור כוס יין. It says she's like much more מזדמנת. Whatever comes up. No one's giving her basic food, basic things. She doesn't have like a specific lovers. Now it's whoever comes, whatever gives. She's for nothing. She's going off. כי הם אוהבים שלה על ידי השישי ענבים, וכן ישראל בגלותם פונים מהשם בעבור דבר מועט. They're leaving Hashem for all kinds of little things. And there's this situation in Galut at first. Okay, there's at first in the Galut. It's going to change as we see later in the chapter. But the first part of Galut, they leave and they go, okay, we're done. We can do whatever we want now. We're free. We're open. Anything could be. Anything could happen. That's the first stage that's going to happen, which is frightening in that sense.
I didn't catch, what is the Ashisha Navim? What does that really have to do with?
He's saying that that's like nothing. That's as opposed to the previous wife in the previous chapters, who would go to her lovers, who would give her mamash, chita, seorah, and all her everything she needs. Ashisha Navim is like a drink, a cup of wine. She would go to people for a cup of wine, which right. He sees this
So a minimal amount.
a minimal amount. No, it's
Amount.
something very not big, not valuable.
They're
Right.
both going to the disco, essentially.
Going to
The disco,
the discos.
The bars, the discos.
Going to things that are not definitely not sustainable. So the Malbim brings this whole thing into a sort of better picture in a sense, and he gives us the basis understanding of what we're talking about. We're talking about galut, and this relationship defined in Parag Gimel is the relationship of galut, as opposed to the relationship of Eretz Yisrael. That was the previous chapter. What Am Yisrael is doing wrong, being mamash bogedet, being mamash unfaithful to her husband. Now she's being unfaithful in a different way. And Hashem, though, still loves them in a seter way, in a hidden way, as opposed to parhesia, as opposed to really loving. There's like he's following her, he's tracking her, not in a bad way. He's not stalking her, he's tracking her. He's checking in on her. He's making sure she's all right. He's helping her where he can, but not in a clear way. Okay, so all this is just dealing with this first mashal of what we're dealing with. What are we talking? What's Hosea talking about? Hosea is talking about the yachas between Hashem and Am Yisrael in the galut. One more statement about this statement. We'll see it when we say En Melech. We'll see it later. Okay, Tov. Let's go on to pasuk bet. Ve'ekrea li, right? He buys her. Ekrea, again, a weird word. So here, there is a machloket here of explaining if this is talking about the past or now. In other words, ve'ekrea li, when did you buy her? In the past or in the future? And we'll try to give a meaning for even if it's talking about the past, okay? So the Tirgum here says, Ubraktinun b'meimrei, I took her out, I freed her through my word, B'yom chamisha asar le'erech Nisan, on the 15th day of Nisan, meaning Pesach. V'yayiv la kasef tiklaraya kipur lenafsheho, and I gave her a certain amount of money for her, for kippurim, for her to atone for her soul. V'amrit dihon mikarvim kadai umar aramuta malalet sa'arin. I will get, and they will bring me the korban omer. They will raise, right, a ramuta. They will raise for me the omer seorim, which is korban haomer, right, which happens the day after Pesach. Okay, so the Tirgum here, and we're going to see they sort of develop it a little bit. They're talking about Yitziat Mitzrayim, in a sense, right? The 15th day of Nisan is what's hidden here. Again, remember, he said, I took you out with 15 pieces of silver, and then there's with 30 se'ah of barley, and another 15 se'ah of barley. Letech and chomer. Yeah.
Asar with a samach?
This is Aramaic. Everything here goes all over. This is all Aramaic here, yeah.
Okay, fine.
But the Radak's going to develop this a little bit more, and here I want to say also an important part.
Is it still count as samach though?
Where are we? Which word are we? Chamisa Asar. Yeah. So
Aramaic is a samach?
This Aramaic is Israeli Aramaic. This is not the regular Gemara Aramaic. Okay, this is Yerushalmi Aramaic. We do. You could take a look there. ויש לפרש לעניין שפירש המתרגם 15 כסף ט"ו בניסן. The Radak is now following the Tirgum, and he says, let's follow his footsteps. He said the 15 pieces of silver are alluding to the 15th day of Nisan. יהיה פירוש חומר ולתך מספר הימים משיצאו ישראל ממצרים עד שבאו מדבר סיני. We said it's 30 and 15. How much does that come out to be? 45. So if you add 45 to 15 for the 15th day of Nisan, add 45 days. Which day do you get to? Rosh Chodesh Sivan, which is the day they arrived at Har Sinai. Right? Shabao midbar Sinai v'kiblu sham et Torah ki chomer u30 v'letech tetvav hinei 45 memhei 45 v'tetvav yamim of Nisan 30 im iyar. Here we get 45. So he's saying, I bought you for this, and this is referencing the past. When I bought you for going to Sinai. This is how the Radak reads it. I brought you for going to Torah, as he said before, for that purpose. And here is a great statement of also what's going on in Galut. And here we're going to go into this a little bit. Okay, the Radak alluding to, it seems to be that he's alluding to this. I'm jumping a little further, but
Why is it 45 and not 50? It's practically...
What, the Omer, you're saying about the Omer?
Well, yeah, or like Vav Vesivan is the day of Matan Torah.
Why do they say until Matan Torah and not Har Sinai?
Saying it's 50
I don't know.
days from...
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Right, and we don't actually have an exact date. It could be the 4th, 5th, or the 6th, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
Yeah,
No, 6th or 7th. 6th or 7th. That's the machloket. But right now we're playing with what we have. We have these numbers. We're just trying to figure out what in the world. What in the world? It's not. I mean, it would work better if it went to Vav maybe, but they don't. We have these are the numbers. This is what we have. So what's this? What's the Radak saying? What's Hashem saying here? I bought you. There's a past tense. This isn't a future. He's saying, but I bought you in the past. When I bought you as a nation. When I forged you as a nation. When I took you out on the 15th day of Sinai, and I took you the 45 days to Sinai. Hashem says like this, and listen, this I think is an important statement here. When you were made into a nation, you were made into a nation in order to receive the Torah. Am Yisrael in Hosea's time have become a nation.
Even here, it says Adeshem Amma, and it's with
Sin.
Yeah, not a Sama.
So I can't. I'm not an expert in Yerushalmi language or in the Tirgum Yonatan, even less. But it could be checked out. Would you wanna?
Homework.
I'll give you homework. Okay. Take homework. Do you ever go on? Do you guys have Project Shoot here? Is there a computer in the Machon?
No, not really.
What kind of
Just
yeshivas
personal
did you
computer.
learn
Oh my
with
gosh.
I mean, it's
ridiculous.
the rabbi's room, but it's not really for public use.
I can't believe it. I didn't even think of this until this second. Not to have a. No, but the computer has Project Shoot. The computer has like these programs that are great for learning Torah. That have lots of sources on them. Safari is pretty good, but it doesn't have the same search engine Project Shoot has. Project Shoot is this Bar Ilan University put out, and it has a major search engine. And you could put in any word and find it everywhere, anywhere, however. It's astounding. Well, that's another one. There are a lot out there. But there's that's the way to do it. Okay, so maybe I'll do the homework this time. Okay, I'll check it out. But anyway, let's get back to the Radak. The Radak is saying Hashem is saying to Am Yisrael,
Took you to Sinai.
I took you out of Egypt on the 15th day of these, and I took you to Sinai. This is what I did when I brought you out. As a nation, I didn't bring you out just to bring you out. I brought you out to bring you to Sinai.
With a purpose.
With a purpose. There is the nationhood of Am Yisrael is for Sinai. It's for the 15th day is for the 45 days. It's for afterwards. That's where I'm bringing you to it. That's what I want for you. You now, he's going back to you guys are out drinking wine. You guys have turned your nationhood into a pleasurable ideal. You're using your nationhood for pleasure.
Why does it have to do with nationhood? In general, they're actually detaching themselves from nationhood.
They're still a nation. Israel sees themselves as a nation. This is non-galut here. This is a statement. Hosea is saying now in his time. This is going back. Okay, but I'll explain why. Okay, this is why Hosea is saying why exile is necessary, and this may be a need for an exile. For why exile is necessary. When Am Yisrael begins to see its nationhood, its statehood, as something that is just to be a state, or whatever, any other end. It doesn't matter, any other end besides the Torah, we'll say in that sense, but the Torah meaning in this sense, the divine mission that Hashem gave us, then it's not the story. Hashem says, this isn't our deal. This isn't what I took you out for. This isn't what I bought you for. This is what I took you out of Egypt for. It's always I think this is driven in all kinds of speeches, right, about about right Yom Ha'atzmaut and Yom Yerushalayim, the connection between the two. Yom Yerushalayim is the heart of Yom Ha'atzmaut. Right. There's Yom Ha'atzmaut. What is it? What are we Ha'atzmaut from? What? Ha'atzmaut for what? Like what is Yom Ha'atzmaut? It's a great day. But what's the purpose of Ha'atzmaut? Yom Yerushalayim, in that sense, comes to these are like I'm using this as a metaphor, even though it's a very practical metaphor. Yom Yerushalayim gave meaning to Yom Ha'atzmaut. We have Yom Ha'atzmaut because Yerushalayim is the focus of what we want. Yerushalayim in all that it means. Hashem here is saying to Am Yisrael, you don't understand that you forgot. Yisrael. Again, this is Mamlechet Yisrael, just to be meduyak, right? The 10 tribes. You've forgotten what it means to be a nation. You've changed your mission statement. If you've changed your mission statement, then maybe you have to be relieved of your statehood for a little while. Maybe you should just go out there and leave the statehood, which has removed you, which has it itself, your power, your pleasure, your comfortableness, has caused you to forget what you're doing here. So maybe you have to get a little uncomfortable again. I'm going to remove all of your physical pleasures, comforts. I'm going to throw you out there into the middle of nowhere. And then maybe you'll remember who you are and what you mean and what you're for. So it's a little jump what I'm saying here. It's based a little bit on Rav Kashtiel's explanation of what's happening here. But the Radak emphasizing this play on Har Sinai, and this is what Hashem's saying, from Mitzrayim to Har Sinai, this movement seems to be pointing out Hashem saying, this is why I took you out. For this I took you out. Not for this wine drinking that you guys are doing. And this infidelity in that sense that you guys are doing. You're using the freedom I've gave you, the nationhood I've given you, the fact that you're my children and in my land, you're using it for something that's wrong. So you have to leave. You have to leave. And that may be the story of exile. May be our story. And a warning to us right now also. As always, Hosea is warning. It's a warning. In other words, our state right now, Medinat Yisrael, is not just a Medina kechol ha'amim. It can't be. We can't just be a state like all other states. We can't just be a country like other countries. We're unique. We have a mission. We have to sanctify Hashem through our actions as a state, not individuals. As individuals, we have to do, obviously, we have to do Kiddush Hashem. But as a state, we have to be something unbelievable. So the Goyim come, as it says in Devarim, right? They'll say, "Is Am Chacham v'Navon Hagoy Hagadol Hazeh, Asher Lo Chukim Tzadikim," who has these amazing, amazing laws, beautiful, astounding laws. Right now, I'm not sure that's what people say when they see Medinat Yisrael. Some people even say Afuch, right? Apartheid nation. It's shtuyot. It's shtuyot. But we're not presenting, at the moment, it's not being presented, Am Yisrael in its glory. And it's, we've talked about when we learned Yeshayahu Perek Aleph, right? About how the justice system is like the thing that we're supposed to, tzedek, Yerushalayim here at tzedek. Yerushalayim here at tzedek. It's supposed to be the great city of justice. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, v'naru elecha kol ha'amim. They'll all be coming to Yerushalayim to learn, lidrosh Hashem, to learn what Hashem says. Are we doing this? Maybe. Look, historically, it's not going to happen like this. Maybe we're moving towards that. We just have to, what?
Right now.
Can, but are we emanating light to all the other nations of the world who are just looking wide-eyed and saying, I want to come here and learn what you have to teach us? there are things that we are. There are things that we're exporting good and positive and help and financially and agriculturally and medically and knowledge. There are many things that Medinat Yisrael as an Am is doing. Have we reached this level of this? I don't know. But I'm just asking us, and then, right, we're voting tomorrow. Some of us are voting. It's in 2 days, right? On Tuesday.
Who are you voting for voting chance, man?
You can ask, but I'm not going to answer.
Right.
We're going to the Kalpiot, and that has, in my mind, that has to be in the focus. Who of these miflagot, who of these representatives are trying to bring this chazon that means that we could stay here? Hashem says, this is what I bought you, took you out for. This is what has to be. So, let's. I think we're going to stop here, okay? Both for our kochot and for where we are. Bezrat Hashem, we'll continue here. I did think, no way we're doing this parak for another tag. We're finishing this tomorrow, next Sunday. Bezrat Hashem. There's no way we stay here for 5 psukim. We can't do this. So we're going to do it. You got to make sure that I do not stay on this for too long. And Bezrat Hashem, it's still on film that I said that. Tov.